I'm always rubbish at punctuality. I always fail to get videos out on time when the topic of discussion remains relevant, and I'm late to the party again, of course, but this time it was for good reason. It was because I simply could not make my mind up with what I really think about the recently announced Halo campaign Evolved. Instead of rushing out early impressions I'd later regret, this time I took my time to reflect, to think beyond my instinctual first reaction. I wrote and rewrote this script with the subject and tone completely changing each time, until I could finally, with the benefit of proper time and reflection, at last compose how I really feel about the Halo CE remake. So how do I feel? I really don't know. So let's cut to the chase and briefly talk through my feelings as if we're in therapy, because that's what Halo's done to me at this point. In terms of the graphics and art style, as that is very much the primary and perhaps only selling point here, I think it looks good. Not great, but good. It's a faithful enough reimagining of CE despite a few nitpicks. The original is one where the art style benefits from the restrictions of the time, its simplistic liminal landscapes creating an alien sense of scale and solitude. That feeling isn't replicated here, but that's because it looks like a 2025 Unreal Engine 5 game. Something was always inevitably going to be lost there sheerly through the inevitable progression of time and technology. But what can instead be gained is a contrasting approach to beauty through high fidelity and complexity, which will appeal more to modern audiences and make me scrutinize every little downgrade in design. My nitpicks are directed towards the Forerunner structures, which need to look a bit more worn down and weathered, and I think it's a shame the more unique architecture of the island has been exclusively replaced by big shiny metal triangles. Plus, the reuse of Infinite's assets is a problem I don't find quite as offensive as others, because I think these models are very good, but would obviously prefer a few tweaks headed in their direction. The community appears to be pretty united in this constructive feedback though, so hopefully it's all stuff they'll take on board, with probably over a year until the full release to act on said feedback, the potential of which feels very refreshing. Them showing this much of the game this early is a big deal, and clearly a learning from the disastrous Infinite first impression. I really didn't want to be reminded of that reveal at any point, but sadly the evident technical issues with the build were a little too distracting. Unacceptable pop-in is the main culprit, so it's essential this is ironed out before launch, and I have, albeit fearful, faith in them to do so. But that's how low the bar for Halo is right now. If the game just works properly, glitch-free out the gate, then that's a win after the depths we're hopefully now rising from. And hey, speaking of, the presentation is a massive step up from Infinite without those dull as dishwater restrictive one-shot cutscenes. Through the purposeful edits and calculated camera placement, there's more action, tension, and excitement within this one cutscene than the entirety of that game. Thank God for that. The gameplay itself also looks decent, if a bit unambitious, and through the use of the hybrid engine appears to have maintained that vital Halo feel. I was nervous at first, but after watching some separate legendary gameplay, it suddenly looked way more familiar and natural to me, as opposed to the quite stilted and awkward demonstration footage. I get why it has to look like that, that's not a criticism, but seeing people play normally on harder difficulties just felt like normal Halo, and a lot of my fears with the change to Unreal were suddenly assuaged. So those are the positives, and yet despite them, I just do not feel this game is properly justifying its existence as of yet. In an idealized reality, I can picture remade, definitive versions of these games that both elevates and expands them to produce these perfect experiences, but I'm not naive enough to think it's that straightforward. Those original Halo games were just kind of magic. It's a special concoction of timing, nostalgia, and excellent game making, and I don't feel it's possible for that to be completely and wholeheartedly recaptured. It's an absolutely Herculean task for this remake to match up to the inimitable original, but that doesn't mean it still can't be kind of good in a way. I just really don't know. But I mean, either way, what is the point in remaking if you're too scared to dramatically change anything about Halo CE in any meaningful way? Showing an already pretty perfect mission with literally nothing different except the graphics doesn't excite me, because I can just still play the original and it will hold up fine. I think it shows how understandably knocked their confidence is that they're hesitant to show anything new or make any significant changes to the level design through fear of backlash. This gameplay doesn't impress me outside of a shiny new coat of paint, because that is literally the only thing that is improved, and even then, that improvement is debatable. Surely they'll have innovated more on the second half of the campaign, and I don't mean exclusively the library, I need more than that, because as a Halo fan, this isn't impressing me outside of the pretty graphics. But this demonstration isn't really for Halo fans, it's for new players. They want to get invested in the franchise, hence the astounding day one launch on PS5. I'd hoped some new missions or repurposing of cut ones would be added, but again I think their hesitancy to alter anything about such a beloved campaign is demonstrated by the only new missions being extraneous prequel ones that won't disrupt the flow of the original, and can easily be disregarded if they turn out to suck. Part of me is pleased about this because it'll be completely new, and my trust in them to not dig their grubby fingers in and ruin CE is minimal, as is clearly their trust in themselves. But again, unless there's more to see here, the existence of this remake is not as of yet vindicated for me. And of course I say as of yet, there may well be a plethora of alterations and additions we're yet to see, so it's very much too early to judge, but right now I'm underwhelmed. I honestly want them to shove as much stuff in as possible to make this the definitive version of CE. Add more terminals, audio logs, Easter eggs. They've already said they'll do so for Skulls. I want Uncharted-style skins, filters. Make it so you can unlock the classic weapon models, have crazy achievements and campaign scoring and speedrunning from launch. Just make it as fun, content-rich, and new feeling as possible. So the game I know so well will be worth revisiting, even if it can't live up to the original in other ways. Otherwise, a CE remake simply feels like fighting a losing battle. There's inevitably no way to please everyone, because if you unambitiously don't change anything, people will question why it exists, and if you do change anything, you're drawing comparisons to a special, sacred game, the feeling of which is incredibly hard to replicate. It's an impossible situation. If the game turns out to be bad, Halo Studios will receive all the blame, but if it's good, they won't receive the credit because it's not their game. For where Halo is right now, a remake sadly makes sense, but for where Halo should be, if it wasn't ruined by the very studio still making this, retreading a past they had nothing to do with yet again is humiliating. I simultaneously want to allow them a fresh start, yet cannot forgive the years of agony. I want to get excited about the positives and potential here, but I'm too scared of getting burned. I want a more ambitious game, but I know they need more time to adjust to the new engine. And I want to recapture the Halo of old, but I'm also bored of them miserably failing at it, and I want something new. But what I have to reassure myself on is that this will hopefully lead to something new, and if this faithful direction is the one they're taking, then I'll have to be patient and hold out hope for a new Halo experience that can just simply be good. But for now, I feel conflicted to the point of apathy. I mean, we had the spiritual successor to CE already, and now we get the remake to complement the remaster, the ports, and the original. I say it every time, the last game that wasn't trying to be CE was over 10 years ago. Guys, there is so much more to the franchise than the first game. In isolation, I guess my feelings about this demo are mostly positive if I stop comparing it and disparaging it, but my unease is rooted in the years of excruciating context surrounding Halo. So now I have to do the annoying bit where I piss on everyone's cornflakes even more and inform you of the rumoured issues behind the scenes at Halo Studios. The first bit of info that's leaked out was a report from Engadget back in July, which stated, quote, "The mood at the studio is tense, especially when it comes to one project that was recently in crisis," and this anonymous dev added, "I don't think anyone is really happy about the quality of the product right now. There's been a lot of tension and pep talks trying to rally folks to ship." Now, this could be concerning any of the multiple projects they're working on, but with this one being the furthest advanced, the remake fits the description. A description of crisis you really don't want to be hearing, especially after the calamity of Infinite's development. The Though at least that maybe suggests some of the problems the community has identified may also be ones the team are unhappy with too. You never know. So then fast forward to October, when longtime Halo artist Glenn Israel left the company after 15 years, complete with a cryptic statement referring to management making work life intolerable, not wanting to trade away your health, dignity, ethics, or values, and to take evidence when necessary. Obviously, this is only one vague, partial side of a story that doesn't even exist, but with a history of horrible working conditions, the evidence is veering towards Halo Studios still having failed to rectify them. This was then complemented a few days later with a report from Rebs Gaming, who covers all this stuff superbly, by the way. Go check him out if you're interested in Halo's development. His intel was that there are currently leadership issues blighting Halo Studios, and this was then corroborated a few days later by Jez Corden from Windows Central, who specifically named studio head Pierre Hintz as sadly being unpopular within his team.
But I've heard Pierre Hintz isn't exactly super popular within Halo Studios. It's difficult at Halo Studios. It's still difficult.
So, from the minimal behind-the-scenes info we have, despite the positives of the reveal, I can't shake the feeling of everlasting misery and failure that can't be shirked by Halo, whatever they seem to try. Albeit we naturally don't get reports from the studio when everything's going smoothly, so the good could still outweigh the bad, and every project has its challenges it has to overcome to be successful. It's never plain sailing, but you'd be foolish to overlook the history of disaster and not bet on inhibitive behind-the-scenes turmoil. So it's for these reasons that Halo Campaign Evolved just makes me feel conflicted and confused. You might think it's harsh of me to be this skeptical, but I've been burned too many times, and Halo Studios needs to earn my trust before I start getting excited by the next shiny new thing. I have not forgotten the agony of the past 15 years because there's no way a Halo CE remake should even be getting made. This is desperate and pathetic when you think about it. Infinite was supposed to go on for 10 years, for fuck's sake. This is not what anyone wanted or planned. But miserable context and time-worn cynicism aside, for what is an impossible lose-lose situation, they had to start somewhere, and this isn't the worst start. It's maybe even, and I say this with so much trepidation, a positive one. We'll have to wait and see. And I'll see you in a bit. Oh, and like and subscribe, yeah? Way better videos than this are coming soon. Cheers for coming to therapy with me. See you later. Bye.